Alright, today is going to be arms and just a little bit of side delts, probably some cable work on that. Woke up this morning and I'm feeling really good. You know, you wake up and you're flat, which sucks, but you know, seeing the leanness that I'm achieving, it's nice. You know, I've always been a bigger guy. I've never really been skinny, never had abs, never been the guy to finish first in a race or anywhere but back of the pack. But, you know, it's just nice to see. And I'm trying to find a way to just enjoy the process, enjoy the diet, enjoy the training, because ultimately, you know, comparison ends up being the thief of joy. If I were to always compare myself to competitors, or not even just competitors, just guys you see on social media or YouTube or whatever, and you look and you think, damn, I'm not where I need to be. You know, you got to realize that yes, some of them are on steroids, but some of them are natural, and you just have to realize that what you need to focus on is achieving your genetic potential and trying to get better, because it's ultimately, yes, it's a sport where you compare guys and you're like, okay, he's got better side delts, but this guy's got better traps. This one's got a really nice back, and you know, this guy's really conditioned. Look at his legs. But you have to take time to look at yourself and just reflect on how far you've come. You know, it's not going to be a thing where you see overnight results. And a lot of us are not going to be influencers. We're not going to be big Mr. Olympia guys like Chris Bumstead, Martin Fitzwater, Arnold. None of those guys you are going to be necessarily. But if you look 3 years ago and you're like, wow, I used to look like that, you can appreciate yourself a little more. You know, of course, you're going to compare yourself from time to time, especially when you're actually directly competing against other guys. But when you slow it down a little bit and just look at how far you've come, look at how much more you can lift, look how much bigger you've gotten or leaner or whatever, then you just end up being a lot happier. Because yes, this is a sport where you directly compare yourself to one another, but you know, it's ultimately also about being the best version of yourself. You can't choose your genetics. You can't choose your parents, but what you can choose is how hard you train, how hard you diet, how hard you do your cardio. You know, those choices like that, things you should be proud of. So yes, you may never be an Alex Eubanks or Will Tennyson or whoever you look up to. But if you can be the best you that you can be, well, you won. Why not achieve what you can as yourself? Don't try to be somebody else. Maybe you can follow some of their advice and you can follow some of their diet tips and tricks for training, but at the end of the day, it's going to be you that's going to be the one to do all the work, and you have to find pride in how far you've come. So right now, it's going to be focusing on a little bit of lighter squeezing work, and we'll just see how I do.
Wait. Sure. How can you lift that? But have you even tried lifting it? Did you ever lift it? What's the price on it? Hold on.
I mean, that was an incredible workout, man. You know, I looked at the pump and I was genuinely impressed and happy with how I did today. You know, it felt great. And even though I wasn't lifting heavier weights than even the guys that were in the gym with me, you know, I was doing a good job. And I beat some of my personal records, which is great on a cut, you know. And just the fact that I'm pushing myself to failure, it was just an incredible workout. And that echoes the point that I was making earlier, that you just got to find joy in the training. You got to find joy in beating your own records, you know, running your own race. Yes, you should strive to be better. And, you know, healthy competition, it's perfectly fine. You know, if you can motivate yourself by saying, hey, you know, start a little bet with a buddy saying, I bet you can't do more cardio than me, you know, then that'll help, because you want to beat your buddy. You want to be the one that's better between the two of you. So that might help you get a little extra cardio in, or say, hey, you know, I bet I can get leaner than you, you know, and you both prepped for a competition. You'll both be motivating each other while still striving to be the best versions of yourself. That's fine and dandy. I love that. And competitive advantages in, you know, wanting to be the best, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes, you know, you can get overwhelmed with, you know, you go on the internet and you're really happy that you finally hit, let's say, like 165 for 2 on bench. You know, you beat a personal record, you go on there and you see Larry Wheels doing like 600 pounds for bench, and you feel small. Or you see, you know, hey, I got my first bicep vein, this is awesome, you know, and then you look at Alex Eubanks and you're like, wow, I'm just so far behind. Sometimes you gotta just stop and look at where you came from and just be proud of the work that you put in. You did that, and you should be proud of yourself. Can you be better? Yes. I don't think we ever reach our peaks. I don't think we ever get to a point where we can't stop growing in any type of fashion, you know, whether it's the gym, whether it's knowledge, or, you know, just cardio excellence. Whatever you're doing, you can always improve, and that's what you should do. You shouldn't always compare yourself. Yes, comparison can help you, but sometimes you just gotta step back and look at what you've done and just be proud of yourself. That's the important thing. So anyways, cut's going great. Back day tomorrow, and man, I am just looking forward to it. I love back day. So I'm gonna eat a little bit, finish up the rest of my cardio, and I will see you tomorrow.